Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and I'm back again with another video. Today's video is actually featuring some products from a company that I've never tried before. This is the Paper Nest Dolls, Hippos, and Sentiments. They are a red rubber company. They also do digital stamps, and they're US based, and they have super cute images. So Christine, the owner, had reached out to me, and I was super excited to use these little guys. They're totally adorable. So basically in the hippo set, there's 5 hippos that come in. But with red rubber stamps, here's what I've learned. And the Misty is such a, I mean, if you own one or any kind of stamping tool, you know that these things are just totally worth their weight in gold. I absolutely love them. And so what I have found that works for me with red rubber is putting them on the Misty and stamping them out so I can see what position they need to be in. And then as I stamp them, I can kind of adjust accordingly. So especially with that hippo on the top right-hand corner, you can see I put the stamp down on what I thought was straight, and he's clearly like got his front legs up in the air. So it allows me to just kind of make those adjustments on a scrap piece. And then once I have them all placed properly, I can put in, you know, actual card panel that I'm going to be using and stamp them out. This is just what works best for me. Another trick that you can use is, you know, stamping them on acetate before you put them on your card base. And then that way you'll, you know, be able to see how they're stamping and make any adjustments there. So like I said, there's 5 hippos in here. And I wanted there to be a full line of 3 and 3. So this little one with it's holding the heart seemed to be the best fit for the areas that I have. And so I am going to use the acetate trick for this just because the stamp is already dirty. And you guys know me, I'm lazy. I'm not going to clean it. I don't want to clean it. And I want to be able to, you know, move it around and do anything I need to do. I think that stamping all of them at one time may have been a mistake on my part. On the hippo in the top right, I noticed that I got, I guess, darker lines, like a little bit more smushy pressure. Does that make sense? On his feet. And I had a little bit more trouble stamping the one with the cupcake. So that's probably just because I had too many stamps all kind of smushed together. But again, I'm lazy and I didn't want to have to readjust. So now they're all stamped out, and basically we're just going to be doing a ton of Copic coloring. The sentiment in the middle, I knew that's kind of how I wanted my layout to be. You saw the finished card. That's not how it ended up staying, but I'm good with the way it came out. So I decided to, first of all, the Paper Nest dolls, they come colored. So like when you get the packaging is colored, and so it kind of gives you an idea. And this particular packaging, they were all colored like a really, like a lilac color. All the hippos were, and I just thought that was so cute. But I didn't want to do mine exactly like the packaging. Since I had so many going on here, I decided to go with just a gray. But I was very much inspired by that softer color palette for the rest of the card. So here for this particular hippo, for all of them, like the inside of their legs is going to have a shadow. So underneath their little hippo bellies, and then down there, the inside of their legs. For this one in particular, where his hat is sitting, where his arm is around his teddy bear. I also added where their noses are. I added just a line of shading, careful to leave like the top of, is it a snout on a hippo? I'm calling it a snout because I don't know what else to call it. So like just that stays lighter so that it gives it a little bit more dimension. For this hippo, it's going to be a very similar situation. That the inside of his legs, that back part of his face, behind his snout. I'm adding shading kind of to the left and the right hand sides of his face, as well as the front of his mouth, Where his arms are like circling the heart, where they're set back, that would be darker. Where his belly's sitting on top of his legs would be darker. So all those things are basically going to be just pretty much the same. And like I said, since there were so many different type, I mean, that's the whole point of the sentiment. That's why the sentiment is cute. Friends come in all shapes and sizes. And because there's so many different things going on with each one of these hippos, I thought that coloring them all gray would give it a little bit of continuity, so that everything just kind of made sense, and those neutrals were those neutrals, and then the colors that I picked to color each one of their outfits, objects, whatever, were all in the same realm. So I don't know about you guys, but I have words I cannot say. I have words I can't say that I cannot pronounce. And for me, well, I'm just going to say it. For me, hippopotamus is one of them. Can't say it. Can't do it. I can say hippos, which you would think I would then be able to say the word hippopotamus, but I can't. I used to tease my husband all the time. I'm like, when we have kids, you're going to have to teach them how to say that word, because I will be teaching them wrong. Stand by for back to the coloring. So I've clearly colored up the rest of the hippos. And I just wanted to show you this one because he's in such a different position. So for this one, the face is all going to be the same, but his body is different. His belly is going to be set further back than his legs, so there's definitely going to be some shading there. And then I also added some shading back around his cute little tushy. And then where it's not a bow tie. What do they call it? Is it like a handkerchief? What do they call those when you tie? I don't know, it always makes me think of like old school flight attendants. You know what I'm saying? That they always have that. But anyway, I think they're called handkerchiefs. I don't know. So anyway, where that is, that will be darker where his head is sitting in front of his body. So that was just the thing. So anyway, I have specific words that I cannot say. Speaking of, so does the rest of my family. Like, I think everybody's got one that just like gets away from them, like a bare minimum of one. Most of us, I think, have multiple. I have to super concentrate if I want to say the word crippled. Like, I don't know why in my brain I want to add an M in there. I want to make it crimpled. I don't know why. I literally have no idea. But like my mom can't say specific. She says Pacific, like the ocean. Or it's a good ideal instead of idea. So leave me some comments below. Like, if you have a word that you can't say, you let me know what it is, so that I know that I'm not alone in my gross mispronunciation of the word hippopotamus. So now we're on to their outfits, and like I said, I was really just totally taken with like that lilac combination for the hippos. So when I started coloring their little outfits, I really wanted to stick with the pastel kind of feel, that lilac color gave on the actual packaging. So that's what I did. You'll notice I'm down to 3 colors. I'm not using a 4-color blend. I'm using a 3-color blend. But one of them is still a pretty good bit darker than the other ones. When I was out of town with my girlfriends at retreat, one of my girlfriends, Jana, was coloring some cherry blossoms. And she wasn't happy with the way that the card looked. She wasn't happy with her coloring. And so we were kind of talking about it. And I said, if you feel like it looks flat, you need to add darker color. And she's like, but I want it to be soft. And I said, I'm not telling you to put darker color all over everything. I'm telling you to put it in just the areas you want to be the darkest. As Kathy Rakusin puts it, just put it in the nooks and crannies. It doesn't have to be a ton of dark. It doesn't have to be anything that's outrageous. It can just be one little line. And that one little line can totally transform your coloring, guys. I'm not even kidding you. I know it sounds like I'm being super dramatic and overemphasizing how much that one little bit of color can do. But I'm not. It really can change your whole view of whatever object, animal, person it is that you're coloring. So I kept these more on the pastel side because I do realize that it's hard for a lot of people to achieve a softer feel that has some dimension and some shading. So I did I'm calling him the Little Sleepy Time Hippo. The Little Sleepy Time Hippo in like a yellow purple combo. I'm going to use a pink blue green for the heart. And you can see I'm not really flicking too much color as far as my mid-tone, and I'm only adding lines of my darkest color. That's it. Even though this is a very large area, I don't need a ton of color because I still want that heart to be super soft. For the pinks, I did add a little bit more of the medium and the darker tones than I normally would have with any of the other colors. And that's because if you've watched my channel before, you've heard me say the RV02s, the RV0 families are very different. They're different to work with because the RV02 picks up so much of the 4 and the RV00 picks up so much of all of it, honestly. So moving on to, isn't this little ballerina hippo just so cute? Just like so darling. I do not have a child in my life that is in ballet or dance or any of those things. But if I did, I would use this hippo to make them a card because she's adorable. So I decided to do a blue-purple combo here. And in her tutu, it's drawn so that it's ruffled. In order to make it look ruffled, you want to be adding the shadows to the part that is set back. So like the ruffly parts that are sticking out that are longer than the rest of the tutu, those should be lightest. The shorter pieces that are tucked back, those should be darkest. And then I got carried away coloring the tutu and I completely forgot about the bow on her head, so I had to go back and do that. I'm going to use the same purples that I used for the Sleepy Time Hippo for her bow around her neck and her ballet slippers. And, you know, we're not working with a lot of real estate here. These stamps aren't particularly large. I feel like maybe they're, please bear with me because the noise will be on my voiceover of me getting this ruler. My guess was 1.5 inches, but they appear to be about 2 inches tall. So just about 2 inches tall, and they are approximately 1 inch, give or take, depending upon their positioning, wide. So, you know, it's enough to carry a card paired with some other background elements. And I'm not talking about necessarily building a scene, though that would be amazing. You know, but just some things that will kind of give it some balance, give it some heft, and let them kind of be the star of the show. So for this hippo on the top left, it's the same one, remember, that is in the bottom middle. I colored them slightly differently. And I did bring in some lime green, which I just love so much. For the lime green, I actually am using the lightest yellow color as my lightest color. And that's something that if you don't have a lot of markers, I would encourage you to look to see what you can use together for as far as color combinations. I don't, even though I have full set syndrome, even though I got it bad. I don't have all of the Copic markers, and I know that they're pricey, and, you know, you guys will leave me comments and say, you know, I don't have Copics. I don't want to spend that amount of money. Here's why I'm a Copic girl. I'll tell you, because I'm only ever going to buy that marker once. That's the reality for me. And it's an investment. And, you know, the Spectrums, the other markers that are out there that, are a cheaper price point, they aren't refillable, and you will have to buy that marker again. And, you know, with the Copics, I buy the marker, I buy the refill, and, whatever, 10, 12 bucks in for, I don't know, the next forever. I've never even bought another refill for a marker. I just keep filling it up. You know, occasionally you might have to replace a nib. I don't know, because I've never done that either. Literally never replaced one. And I've been coloring with my Copics for years. So they are something that is an investment. If you're just dabbling in alcohol markers, I wouldn't, you know, necessarily recommend that you go buy, you know, 50 Copic markers. I know that's a chunk of change, guys. I'm paying for the same stuff you are. But if that is, like, if you try some, you know, you buy a set of Spectrum and you really like them, or whichever other ones are out there, Altenews are really good. if you try those and you really like the look that you're getting, then I would encourage you to definitely invest in Copics, because they're going to be the it. At least they are for me. I haven't found anything that's better. So once all the coloring is done, I'm going to go in with a white gel pen, because I love all the details. I just do. That's sometimes, adding that personality and that detail, making those images mine, is my absolute favorite part, because then you're going to look at it and be like, that's a Kelly card. So I added some pinstripes to some of the hearts. I added some polka dots. I added some sprinkles to that cupcake. I am going to go in and outline all of my images, because I love a solid black outline. But full disclosure, because these are smaller, it is a little bit more difficult to outline. So if you're not comfortable doing that, I would skip it. That's just me. I'm trying to be honest with y'all. You know me. I don't want to mislead you, and it can be, on smaller images, it can be more difficult. They kind of felt like they were like floating around in midair here, and they weren't very grounded. So I'm going to go in with some warm grays. I opted not to do the cool grays because I wanted there to be some differentiation between the actual hippos and the ground that they're standing on. And right now this is going to look like super dark. And sometimes you'll find that even with your coloring, it looks darker, because when you first put the marker down, the paper is wet. And so it can change the way that the actual pigment of the marker looks to you. But once it dries, like that alcohol evaporates and the paper dries, they are pretty light. So originally you saw me stamp the sentiment. It just didn't have enough. It just didn't have enough to carry the card. So I heat embossed it, same sentiment, on a strip of black in white, and that seemed to really give me the kind of the focal point that I needed once I could get it on, because I was having a really hard time getting it centered. Once that was on, I went and got my clear Wink of Stella pen. I added that to a bunch of the accessories on each one of the hippos, because I just love the shimmer. I love the glitter. I wore glitter eyeshadow the other day, and I was happy all day long. I even posted it on Instagram how happy I was. And then that is the whole card. So if you're watching on YouTube, I will link all the supplies below. Same thing, on the blog. And I would encourage you to head over and check out Paper Nest Dolls, because she's got a lot of other really cute images just like this. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.